for the members. So those are people that represent the church of unity.
So hiyo inafiti wako kwa hizi because I feel it's almost somewhere.
Hata kama kuna group itamaliza tafadhali itamaliza ikiendelea kupresent. Let's turn our tables and let's turn our tables. So group one, please, somebody present.
Good morning.
Good morning.
In group one, we were dealing with vision, mission, core values, and goals for growing in a progressing church. We started by creating a vision. But before going to the vision, we came up with a name, and we called our church Neno. So, yeah, our church is Neno. So, our vision, yes, is reaching and discipling the nations with the gospel of Jesus Christ. That will be our vision of reaching and discipling the nations with the gospel of Jesus Christ. We went to make a mission statement of our church. Our mission statement of our church is, our mission is to preach, teach, and disciple all nations. That will be our mission. To preach, to teach, and disciple all nations. We went for core values. Our core value, we will be united in a vibrant church whose holiness and love for Jesus Christ will be expressed through saving souls, growing saints, and saving suffering humanity. Our core value will be united and a vibrant church whose holiness and love for Christ will be expressed through saving souls, growing saints, and saving the suffering humanity. We made our goals, which will guide us. One will be reaching the unreached through social services. Number two, we will have evangelical missions. Goal number three, meeting basic human needs. That is, we will have feeding programs to the needy families and the vulnerable. Goal number four, act as a pillar of excellence in educational fields. That is, we will have schools and educational centers. Thank you. God bless you.
Tuangushie hiyo group moja. Kuna wengine walikuwa wanaandika. Tuangushie presenter moja. Aha, na the team. Asante. What are your comments based on the brief that I had given, much as I want us to finish that group before we get to the comments or questions from the rest of the team before niongeze zangu. Na inaanza kuwa from the team members. How guys was presenting, yes.
I felt like core values. Umrefu sana.
Aha, thank you. So core values, kuna kitu tutapokea hiyo tusikie. What else? Any other comment? Quick one.
Na vision pia kama sikuona vizuri mahali.
Asante. Thank you. Gidua has grasped the things that we were talking about. I liked your goals. They are clear. You know where you are heading in terms of schools, evangelism, and everything else. Also, your mission, is to preach to our nation. But when it came to the vision, we say a vision is a dream, an image that you are seeing. So, where do you see Neno? What is, because when you start by reaching, discipling all nations with the gospel, it sounds like more of your mission also. It sounds like something that you aspire to do. But a vision, I say, is like, how does success look like? When you have done everything and you are very successful, Neno inajulikana. How does that look like? How is that picture? It's an image that you are drawing. So how does success look like?
It is what you say, but in brief, it's a vibrant church that is centered on families.
Yeah, it's closer now. You are seeing vibrance. But we are saying, let me ask it this way. After reaching and discipling all nations, what do you want to see? Where are you doing that? Where are you bothered?
Okay, then
That's the image you want to
let me say a vibrant church a vibrant church.
Vibrant church. I would have taken that better than but now you are heading somewhere. In other words, you have preached, you have done everything, now you are very successful. So what are you seeing? We can also help, not necessarily the group, you can also help Neno Church. Now what do they see after doing things the way they expected to happen? How does success look like to them? Because that is now what we call a vision. So a vision is a dream. You remember in 1963, Martin Luther King, once upon a time, he said, I have a dream that one day this and this and this is going to happen. And that inspired people until the 44th president of the United States of America was having a India. Because of that dream, the blacks were inspired. So how do you inspire your people? So that they want to be associated with your church. So that is now what a vision does. A vision, it kind of motivates people, inspires people. They want really to be part of that success story. So what is your success story? The team, continue thinking. Now when it comes to core values, we say core values are unique identifiers. Things that you look at, say for example, it could be your community centered. As you are centered, so I'm now looking at unity as a core value, but not a whole sentence, because when you read it, the whole sentence, you make people lost. You've heard of where people talk of teamwork, where people talk of brotherhood, where people talk of something that disciplined in terms of that if it is now you start Bible study, people are disciplined to carry through. Yeah. You've heard of PSI, also have gone through that. There is a lot of discipline. Yeah. So what else are you seeing? It's a core value. Excellence, yes. Excellence, yes, you mentioned excellence. Integrity, yeah, coming in. What else are you seeing? So those are the values now. hizo kamoja kamoja, and then you can unpack them. Yeah, it could be Christ-centeredness in all what you do. Yeah, we see Christ, so that can be up over. The rest, I think, you are done in one. So once more, tuangushie hiyo group moja. Asante. Group 2. Group 2, tafadhali tukuje. Sasa tumepewa what is it, Dr. Rivas?
This is group 2. We are looking at, we are highlighting the challenges facing the church in the 21st century and developing strategies for church growth and expansion. So the challenges that we have mentioned, there are many, but we have mentioned a few. We talked about relevance. This will mean we are not meeting the need. What is preached is not what is affecting the people.
What is the name of your church?
We didn't. You said we are elders of this church. Or should we adopt it? We didn't give a name to this church.
Cannot register.
Seven was speak our names. As a committee of Neno Church. Yeah, so it's looking at that. Yeah? So the message is distorted, it's diluted. It's not what is in the Bible. So in other words, it's not accurate. It's inaccurate. Yeah. 3, we lack organizational skills. We don't have the know-how. We don't know how to do outreaches, missions. We lack management skills, board and committee organizations, fundraising skills. The other point was Gen Z. The Gen Z is saying the church lacks integrity. We are lacking reputation as a church. There is no consistency of word and action. And we are lacking spiritual foundations. The other challenge was divisions. There are divisions in the church today. There are self-interest, personal interests, arrogant people or members. One church field is better than the others. They are learned, they are better. And there is conflict of interest in the church. So those are around 6 points, challenges that we looked at. Then we went on to look at strategies on how to grow the church and expand the church. The first point, we said we will develop good programs for outreach and also for management of the church. We said we will look at what other churches are doing right. Why are they flourishing? What can we borrow from the neighborhood churches and see whether it will work with us if at all we are serving the Lord in the same case. 2, coming up with strategies for resource mobilization. Coming up with some small projects, looking for ministry partners, drawing a strategic plan that will help us achieve what we want for the time that we have given ourselves. 3, capacity building for church leaders down to the members. So just like this conference, it's something that is helping us as church leaders, and so we will take it back to our members, and so we will be growing the church in one way or another. Identify the current trends, like the environmental policy, government policies, what is not like in attendance and giving habits, they have changed significantly over the last years. So what can we change? What can we do to handle those challenges that are coming up? So we identify the trends and then know what to do. Deal with the young people or the old people or the single mothers or whoever is in the church. The other point is teach the truth which is in the Bible. Refine your, know your members. What are the social challenges that are facing them? Who are they? What is our brand? Who is our target group? So that is something that we're looking at. And also we said we will look for loopholes. Where are the loopholes that we can seal? And then the last one is focus on children and youth. If the church wants to grow, a focus on children and the youth ensures its vibrancy and vitality in the next years, or when the older generation is gone, the children will be the church. So that is us. Thank you very much.
Asante sana, tuangushie moja. Haikuwa sawa. Tuangushie moja. Na the group itself, moja. Okay, any comments? Any comments before I give mine? Any comments? Yes.
I think that's so much.
Okay. What have you picked? Any comment? Either from the group or the rest of the two members? Yes.
The issue of relevance, I think the church has not done that due to it's only we have not been able to what we are saying, what we are doing are different things, and becomes the biggest problem.
In other words, the first point of relevance, what exactly did you have in mind? That's what is possible. Are you saying the church is not relevant in this century? Are we sort of like dismissing our presence as a church? Or what did you, but I think he went ahead to explain the issue of heresy, the issue of messages that are not founded in the scripture, but they are more of what people want to hear. You are like becoming an entertainer. And that's how I understood the group, but they can defend their point. Yeah, that's it.
That is exactly what we are saying. And we see that all the time. So we might, well, the message might be relevant, but it's not meeting the need.
Mm-hmm.
What is the need in the church? Yeah, at that particular time, or yeah.
Okay. Yeah, just cut.
Yeah, I was expecting the rest facing the church.
Yes.
I was expecting them to talk about the donor fatigue, the fatigue of the congregation in institutions because of
Right.
givings.
Yes. In other words, dwindling amounts from the congregants and even those who support our mission work. So resources becoming more scarce than before.
Also expecting them to talk about lack of financial integrity. Then we give the money where it is.
Right. Though they related integrity with Generation Z, but they failed to see in many churches, and I hope I'm not mentioning any, because the ones that are represented here are not those many churches. Many churches, they find themselves becoming like it's a private enterprise. That it's a personal kind of investment. It's like an NGO that you're having. So washiriki wakiangalia na waone ni kama tunaenda hiyo barabara, wanaanza sasa kujikunja kidogo, because it's the same congregation you are preaching to, but now you are telling them the affluence or the riches that you've gotten, and some start wondering, so who my type is the one now facilitating. They don't see like it is service, they are giving unto the Lord, they are giving unto the mchungaji. So that becomes an issue. Yes.
Expecting to hear from them about the programs, the strategic plannings of the church,
Yes.
in terms of activities, in terms of the teachings and the programs which cuts across the mind of the church.
Thank you. Thank you, Captain. And you see, you risk yourself when you say you are part of NENO. So the NENO Church are saying,
What are they telling
so now, we should have gone into details because they know they have the strategic direction and they know where the shoe is at. So you get more contribution from this team than the rest of the team. Yes, ma'am.
The other challenge they could have addressed is the unhealthy competition. That is leading to a lot of liquor misuse.
Yes. Competition, that is unhealthy. Yeah. Much as the scripture inatuambia, whether there is competition or competition, Christ is preached, but sometimes it is very unhealthy. Unatoka hapa na unafungua yako hapa na unataka kwenda na washiriki wale ambao walikuwa ni marafiki. So that's really what was down. That is one of the challenges. Yes, sir.
They have done a splendid job. Just that probably they should have added a few more, especially challenges.
Yes.
So that the response can be a bit broad-based. For example, we have a challenge with technology. Yeah, because of the internet, you know, people are being lured into bad stuff, and particularly the younger ones.
Yes.
And issues like pornography, these are realities. The
So
older
technological advancement is a challenge.
it's a challenge. Yes.
Yeah. Are you mnaongeza points hizo zenu? Mna enrich your presentation. Yes.
Migration. People today here, businesses they close, they go to Mombasa.
Yes.
We've lost members. You know, so this migration.
So that rate of mobility
Is a challenge.
from initially it used to be from rural to urban.
Yeah.
Even now urban to urban.
Exactly.
It become also
Scrutiny, where you know the days of Apostle Peter, maybe nobody wanted to know how much came in.
Yes.
Right now, it's being scrutinized by government, scrutinized by membership, and all that. That can be a challenge. It can be good, but it can also be a challenge. You must know how to navigate.
Thank you. In other words, what we are underscoring, it was not imaginary. It was not to be imaginary. So the challenges we're talking about, you are to open your eyes and ask yourself, what is the church facing today? What are those challenges? So that is now what you are to tease out. Yes, you brought out several of those, but people are also adding more. You can also think in terms of your context, in terms of now where you are. When you look left, right, what challenges are you seeing? What is the church facing? And these challenges, we are saying, if we don't address those challenges, we may find ourselves irrelevant or even closing shop, or even now being left with very few congregants. It's like the way the church in the north, yeah, I understand, those who have gone there, big church there, and it is now becoming a restaurant, because there are no people going to those churches. So the same sickness, the same condition, the same problem may now be coming down south, where you find we have huge buildings, but the young ones are saying we can follow online.
Yeah.
And they are not coming to church.
Yeah.
And we are busy now constructing churches and mega ones, but they're saying, well, yeah, but I attended. I was there online. I listened. I followed. And they listened to your church, and when they switch to another one.
Yeah.
And they switch to another. And by the end of it all, they are confused also. Because they will now go. They look at which church is trending today. And it could be trending because of negative motives and all that. Yeah. So you find people or a generation that is churchless, so to speak, to say, that they don't have an identity within, and that's a major challenge. So how are we sorting it out? That is now being strategic. Thinking and seeing the problem will be worse. Can you imagine if we are talking of Generation Z and these challenges we're talking about? What about watoto wao?
Alpha.
watoto wa hao. What are you seeing? Ukifikiria watoto wa hao. Yes? The small computers. So, and where do you see church? With the kind of now vision and the mission of preaching and now, will you be preaching to these small computers? How do you take action now to reserve God's people? Because we have been called to be in the ministry at a time like now, when there are all these many challenges that are facing us, that are glaring at us, and we need to take action now. Yes.
Maybe I'll give a practical example
Yes.
of technology.
Uh-huh.
There is a young man I'm dealing with counseling
Yes.
because he's already gone into the social media, known about homosexuality. He's already involved himself with certain other boys. And he tells me, he's a teenager, he's in class 8, he tells me that even in the class, the teens class, we had some of them are part of it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he was telling me on Sunday.
Yes.
So I was thinking of technology and the things the children are being exposed to.
Right. Life is not like during those times when you are a young girl, when you are a young boy. Things have changed. And that is now the reality. And that is now where the church is called upon to preserve God's people for the next generation. So your task was now that way of looking at it. And how do you go about those? You look at now those challenges. You could have now, I know you could have taken a shorter route and say, you have a strategic plan. So your strategies will be inside there. But at least you are unpacked some field. So once you look at these challenges that we are talking about, you think about how do I mitigate? How do I reduce their impact? How do I go around and come up with a strategy? Like now the challenge that is sharing. How do you come up? Because you cannot say technology, watoto wasikuwe exposed. Even if you say no as a parent, they will still find ways of accessing the same information. But how do we then gather? So thank you very much, team. Tuangushie ingine moja. Asante. Team 3. I know we could go on and say more. Team 3, Taflan?
I can whip you very fast.
Yeah.
They're seated.
We arrive in this time, my friend. On the other side. Well, ours is called Daystar Church International. We're hosting you. How do you love how the programs are being run here? The tea is good. Awesome, we'll take care of you in a few minutes. Now, I happen to be the executive secretary of the Board of Elders. And these are the resolutions we had in our last meeting. We were dealing with the issues of identifying key stakeholders, outline how to meet the expectations and feedback, then effective communication strategies for church success. I already told you, being a church in the city, Nairobi campus, we discovered we have quite a bit of stakeholders, and these are the 5 we outlined our stakeholders. 1, our church membership, or congregants, if you like, about children, teens, youth, women, men, etc. We also have another stakeholder, Church Without Walls. These are those who listen to us online. We may not meet them, but we interact with them. You can see, I believe you're using our Wi-Fi, you can see into technology. The community around us, there is a community around us. Every time there's Gen Z, they pass around here. So there are things we must watch. There is a community around here. And how do we reach them? Donors and givers. donors and givers. There are people who support us financially. I believe the good doctor yesterday really did a good job. And then church institutions. As a church, we have institutions like a university. You see, we have one here. We have another one in Athi River. We have business ventures, like SACCO, farms, etc. So those are our key stakeholders. How do you meet the expectation? How do we, as a church, the Easter Church International, meet these expectations? We've listed a few expectations and we'll try, I believe you'll act and maybe help us with additions. Some of the expectations for our stakeholders: spiritual growth, good governance, welfare support, pastoral care, and excellent services, because I already mentioned we have institutions like schools, farms, SACCO, etc. So how do we meet these expectations? For spiritual growth, we have well-trained leadership, our pastors and all the leaders, to ensure that they are competent, and the workers, they are well-trained and they go through rigorous vetting, if you like. Also the matter of spiritual growth is sound doctrine. To ensure sound doctrine, of course, we have capacity building meetings and time to time training. What about good governance? We have well-laid structures. For example, I've mentioned we have a board of elders. We also have deacons and etc. Meetings, we normally have meetings over time to have these people trained, these officers trained. Welfare support, responsive and fairness. That's a policy for our church. That there is a committee, we have subcommittees, and one of the committees that handles matters welfare, they identify the needy and they recommend, the senior pastor doesn't do this, they recommend how we can be able to respond. Pastoral care, one of our policy is for visits, official visits, the pastors are able to visit and a few others and pray with the needy. We also have a hotline number where people can call in and they can be prayed with official, well-trained counselors. Excellent services. As I said, we have institutions. We just make sure that we employ competent people. But then there are reviews. All the time we do reviews to make sure that with the stakeholders as well involved, to make sure that services are rendered according to our charter. The last one is effective communication strategies for church success. I'll mention about several, maybe about 5. One of the way to ensure that we have effective communication is clear leadership structure. It is known in our church, every member or our stakeholders, they know who is who or who is where. There is no lacuna in there. This helps us in dissemination of information. Regular interactive meetings. We do well-articulated interactive meetings like AGM, etc. to make sure that we communicate to our stakeholders. Maybe I should also have mentioned board meetings. Online presence. We have an online presence because of the timing, because of the season we are in. So we have a department that handles the online programs. Next, the other thing is through social media platforms, website, live streaming of services, etc. We also come up with relevant programs for different churches, which is planned, which is normally in our strategic plan, part of a strategic plan. Every year we have a well-laid down programs for different groups like the youth, the women, widows, etc. And lastly, we also employ the use of bulletins, Thank you for listening to us.
Asante hata wale ambao sio wa timu hiyo wame appreciate. Tuangushie moja ya nguvu. Kweli hiyo timu imefanya kazi. Na timu yote. Asante. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Any comments from the group or the leader? Let's go. That's it. Question? Yeah? Yes, Captain. Wame-exhaust vizuri. So that is also a comment that you've done a good job. And by the way, they were the first group to finish their work. But they might be on a work smart.
We learned yesterday about meetings. So we just used
So they applied those skills. Okay. Kama ningekuwa na kikombe ningewapatia. Ningekuwa na sweet lakini ni moja. Okay, yes.
Ninaona ilikuwa na kama alikuwa na Mwakenya. Very proud of learning. No wonder they call the church business.
Oh yeah.
So what they should have a stakeholder.
Yes.
I think it's a key stakeholder. Government.
Yeah.
Because I think in their church, yesterday they brought the registrar of societies
Yes.
to come and talk to us, representative of the government. You know the way the government policies and those requirements for compliance.
Yes.
Part of the stakeholders, really get that.
But they also left media. You know, in this space, the media people. Yeah. The media people, they report bad news. When things are bad, that is when there are news. But wakati mnafanya kazi ile mnatakiwa kufanya hakuna news. So they will be coming when they hear one faction. You remember we were told issues of division in the church. Some feeling they are better than one sect. So wakati once inaenda kufunga mlango ndio sasa ndio tunakuwa. So it's good to know how to manage the media. That is the person, whether written or whatever else. But in summary, I would say the team did a very good job. I would say that you look at the aspect of key stakeholders, and we are not saying the other group that was dealing with the key stakeholders iendelee kuongezea hizo, lakini hakuna shida hata kukiongezea kuna it is to enhance. But I like now the aspect, the approach they are taking in terms of how do you meet your stakeholders' needs. You have to be very progressive. You have, and some of the things they are saying should not be just for this exercise. It should be something that you are borrowing and going home with. A take-home information. What am I saying? For example, trained leadership. One thing for your congregation, yeah, thumbs up that you are here, you are being trained, and you continue being trained. Sound doctrine, issues of structure, issues of regular meeting, responsive support, pastoral care, yeah, issues of, the one I wanted to ask is hotline, that hotline, the virtual chat. How many churches have got that facility? Where, if you are in distress, if you are in need, this is the line to call, whatever time. Sio ile ya pastor sasa. Sio ya senior. How many have got that? And even if it means dropping a message there, somebody will come and read the message and all that. Edu has.
We have one, but they text and then we call.
Then you call us, okay? You have one.
It's not for calls, it's for text.
For text.
Just send a text and then
Somebody will respond to that. Yes. Calling or text?
both.
Both.
There's a dedicated line. It's not mine.
Yes, that is not now. And that is now what we are encouraging all the others to do. In other words, we are in a digital kind of era. And for somebody who may have, either it is an item like, pray with us, this and this has happened, or something like that. There is connection with your congregants, and that is very helpful. The other bit is also, which I picked, is where you have issues like relevant programs. How do you ensure these programs are relevant as a church? As a to your congregation? How do you position yourself to remain relevant? That when these people look left, right, they say, yes, our church is responsive. Our pastoral team, hakuna timu ingine. Kama ninaanza kutoka kwa hii church, nitajoin hii church. How can you really give that testimony?
I would think you look at the current needs. So like I remember in my church,
Yes.
This time there was a lot of maandamano. The pastor took time to teach us about conflicts. And not just about the negative aspect. I think he dwelt much on the positive aspect of conflicts. But when conflicts come, this is the positive benefits that you get from those conflicts. Like we didn't know there is a need, now we know. Like the president, there is a way he's doing things. According to him, he's doing it the best way. But now, courtesy of that conflict, he's able now to know that these are the needs of the people, and those needs are able to be met. So I would think maybe one of the ways to remain relevant is, this is what the youths need this time. Then you tailor-make your sermons to meet those needs.
Thank you. Let me ask it this way. How many churches also have got a way of soliciting feedback from their congregants? Yeah, Captain. You do?
Yes.
Okay.
Actually, I just wanted to add something. For us, I think it's, even though our church is still a growing church, we are led by this. James chapter 1 verse 27 says, true religion, or rather, NIV says religion that God our Father accepts as pure and faultless is this, to look after orphans, widows in their distress, and to keep oneself from falling. So there is that push in our small way. Our church is not very big, to try and identify this. But then our DP keeps on talking about listening to the ground.
Thank you. Listening to the ground. And you need to have mechanism. That's what we are underscoring. That you need, for you to respond to the needs of your people, there should be a mechanism of knowing those needs.
Yeah.
And it should be a continuous way of getting to feel them, getting to know them. Don't just come and say, oh yes, I have a captive audience here. I have some people, so they have come, yangu tu ni kutuanga neno na tuende nyumbani. But you are not reaching their need. No wonder those people who pretend to know the needs of people, the prosperity gospel preachers, will be now looking at wanataka kusikia hiyo. And that's how we lose our confidence. So it's good now to have that. The last group.
Our church is called Worship Christian Church. You were able to get some points, that is the issue of our key stakeholders. We found out we have men, women, youth, children, community, local authority, and also the national government, and also schools and hospitals. In the issue of men, we found out we need spiritual nourishment. That's why we need a trained leadership, like a pastor is trained on how to meet what the men require in the church. That is the true doctrine, true word of God. Also growth, because it's supposed to be two-way, spiritual and physical aspect of it. The other point is about fellowship of men, where we can be able to invite people to come and teach the men in the church on the issue of marriages, the issue of family, so that we are able to meet their need. The other thing was about empowerment and also capacity building. We need people to come in our churches to help us on how we can empower men and also how they can be trained in their daily life. That is like economically, also empowerment, and also about marriage issues and family. The other point was about women who are also stakeholders in the church. We found out that to have a long-term relationship with them, we also need to have like issue of inviting people who can be able to teach them at the issue of health. You can also have like medical camps, invite them. You can also have seminars in the church, also to help women, and also to teach them, and also empower them. The other point was about the youth. In the church, there is the issue of technology, there is the issue of spiritual nourishment, and also the issue of mentorship, and also career guidance. We need this youth to remain in our church or to be long-term in our church. So we have to have these things, that is career guidance, mentorship, engaging facilitators to come and speak to them on issues that relate, like in the issue of cyber addiction, sexuality, and about their daily life. We come out to the issue of children. We found out we need to have those who are training our children in the church. They need to be equipped. They need to be trained. Also, we have to train their parents who come in the church, that they can be able to have both parties be able to learn from their parents what the children are reporting back to them. So we came up with another issue of the community around us. We have people who are around us. We should be able to invite them as a community to come in our churches and hold meetings there. We can also, we also invite them. We can invite them to come and also do community work. We invite them to come. It will be like cleaning the environment, planting of trees. We involve the community in what we do. The other issue was about the government. We found out it's good to involve the government in the church. Like we invite them to come when we have functions in our churches, like now the issue of environment, or issue of medical camp, or seminars, also to tell us, or also to involve them in our day-to-day things in our church. So lastly, I had so many of them, but just reading the major ones. Schools and hospital. We have schools that are around us. We have trained evangelists or pastors who visit those schools which are around them to be able to give them pastoral teachings, or we go and share with those schools, like primary schools or secondary schools or colleges around us. We share with them. So finally, the issue of hospital, we visit. We have to be able to visit maybe our members, or even not even our members in the hospitals, pray with them, encourage them, and also when they leave the hospital, we can visit them and also encourage them. That is all what we have.
Thank you. Tuangushie moja na ingine. Asante. Thank you very much. Group 4. I think in terms of the stakeholders, I would say men, women, youth, you could lump them as just your congregation or congregants. But both groups I expected also something like service providers. You know, there are those people who are looking out for business with the church. Either they are suppliers or they want to provide some service. Those are also key. That's why sometimes elders will now be almost like, should I say, assume or take advantage or something like that, where they feel, yeah, I want to be the one contracted to do 1, 2, 3, and as a source of conflict. Now here, both groups, you know, you're looking at the congregants, but you forgot the pastoral team is also a stakeholder, and a key one. So if you don't appreciate yourself and your role, then you will not take care of your other needs as a pastor. Every counselor needs a counselor. Yeah. So it's good to talk about that. I also expected you to relate with the leadership. In other words, even if you are a ministry, you are attached to some headquarters, some other church, some other kind of arrangement, and that is also a stakeholder. The interest might be not like the interest of the local church, the leadership, the bigger leadership. So in other words, if it is Salvation Army, for example, Captain, wherever you are placed, there is now the supreme authority. What is the title of the leader, the top one? Your bishop, so to speak. Yeah?
Territorial command.
Oh, territorial commander. So it's like a commander now, a commander in that territory. Yeah. So that kind of, how do you link your local church to that kind of administration? That is now what you're saying. So I think all the groups have done a good job, and the slides that are there, again I said you will pick a lot. What I want to underscore is the following. Number one, your church should purpose, should try as much as possible to have a strategic plan which will guide, which will lead you, which will now help you to lead the congregation. In other words, if you don't know where you are heading to, even the congregants will not get to know what it is that you are trying to. But with a strategic plan, you kind of solicit for support from your congregants and from your other stakeholders. We have seen so many stakeholders. Again, you will be able to articulate your challenges. You will be seeing them, and therefore you will be looking for solutions. So let us now not lead and say, strategic plan is for corporate, it's for business organization. By the way, as a church, are we in business?
Yes.
You are in business.
Kingdom
Yes,
business.
exactly. You are in business. In other words, you are busy doing something. People, when they hear business, is like profit making and all these. No, because you attract resources and you are in the process of doing something. That one of really connecting people to their eternal being, that's business. That's your business. Your core business is actually doing that. And how will you do it in a better way than you did yesterday? There must be a plan. It's like even you, as a minister of the gospel, unless you plan, yeah, unless you plan your messages, you will now be going there and, yeah, I was sitting next to some group members, and it is like, if you are called upon to preach or to give an encouragement, sermon like the way Paul did this morning, and you are not prepared.
Psalm 23.
Psalm 23. And you emphasize the last one. Sana sana hiyo ya mwisho. Hiyo mstari ya mwisho, because it says what? Hiyo ya mwisho.
Goodness and mercy.
All the days of your life. And you can have a sermon. And you can go around and around. What am I saying? Unless you prepare your message, the congregants will feel that mchungaji leo hakuwa prepared. They will feel. And when you are prepared, you have prayed and you have gone, hata wengine utaona, wengine hawakusalimii kwa kawaida, mchungaji, nimebarikiwa sana leo, because yeah, they pour out because you have talked to their heart, you've reached them. In the same way also, unless you prepare, utakuwa kama huyo mchungaji tunasema anaenda na anachukua Psalm 23 na anasahau 2 weeks or 1 month ago alikuwa na hiyo Psalm 23. You start repeating the same. Tuko pamoja lakini. So it is very important, and once you prepare this strategic plan, you envision your congregants, you envision all your stakeholders, they will know the direction you are taking, and therefore you will be working with them. It is a tool that you use to solicit for support, solicit for resources. And even when you are now using your finances, you will now be using these finances in the right way, because there is a plan. Na kila mtu anajua tukifanya hii, tukimaliza hiyo, tutaenda hii na tutaenda ile ingine. There are several scripture portions you will find in this handout where we talk about the need for really planning. So does your church or leadership support strategic planning process? And it starts with us. And how do you rate your current communication with the congregants? Is it average? Is it better than average? Is it all this? Do they trust your leaders? Because that is now where we are coming in. And asking yourself so many other of these questions. But because of time again, I want to say, once you share your vision with those ordinary people, they will do extraordinary things. In other words, those people will be the ones now running with those outreach. Those people will be the ones who will now be calling in for Bible study. Those people will now be there for the cell groups. Those people will be there in the ministry. Why? Because you have envisioned them. You have shown them this is where the church wants to go. And it is not like a Sunday affair. It's a continuous, it's a life process. It's something that you do throughout your life. And once you envision them, then they will do extraordinary things. You will have like disciples. You as a pastor will be left with very minimal, at least now to think about the global issues. And the people you are leading will not just be waiting to be fed. Instead, they will be looking out to feed other people. May God bless you. Asanteni sana for your time. I want to ask whether there is one question burning, because it's time for tea. I'm told we are behind time. We are behind time because we started just one minute. Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. My concern and question would be around, yes, we have adopted the way of thinking strategically and planning. And I have seen churches develop these documents, but then their growth are fatigued towards evaluation and implementation as years go by. Because again, I'm taken up by my responsibilities as a pastor.
Yes.
And I am limited with the number of staff, some of them to push the other aspects of the church.
Right.
And somehow institutions and churches grow faint along the way. What do we do about this?
Thank you. Thank you. You remember my previous slide of when you envision ordinary people, they will do extraordinary things. Within your congregation, there are professionals. There are people whose work is monitoring and evaluation in their company, so where they work. And that is now what they like. That's what they like doing. So you now tap in those resources. You now bring them on board and say, we have a team. This team will be the one now tracking how we are progressing. After you've developed the plan, you as a pastor, the elders or the leadership should not be now putting you on the carpet like, what have you done? Took on a plan. No, let them ask this question. What have we done as a congregation? So you enable other people, in other words. because they were involved in the development, so they will also be involved in the monitoring. And you will be actually challenging them and asking, si nyinyi mlisema tutafanya, sasa tumefikia wapi? Kwa nini hatujafanya hii na hii na hii na hii? And they will also give you a very nice way of monitoring progress in terms of. There are some churches that year in, year out, if you ask them, are you growing or you've stagnated? They don't have an answer because they don't have what we call key indicators of measuring whether they are progressive, retrogressive, or they are marked. So a strategic plan will help you even come up with those indicators of how shall we know that we are having impact in terms of evangelism, in terms of reaching people with needs and all that. Yes, Captain.
Yeah, on the same about monitoring strategic plan.
Yes.
Whether you are progressing or you are taking notes, we have a standard monitoring tool which maybe can be used for when you are making your strategic plan is supposed to go with the strategic tool.
Thank you. Good question.
What are you supposed to do?
What you are supposed to, okay. When you are developing a strategic plan, you are supposed to come up with the plan, the strategies themselves. Then you come up with what we call implementation framework. In other words, how are we going to implement this strategy? Because it is as good as nothing if you have a very nice document, but you don't know how to roll it out. And then within the plan, there is now the element of monitoring and evaluation framework. You also ask yourself, how shall we monitor progress? How shall we evaluate? So within your plan, you will have those kind of sections where you have done things they call SWOT analysis, you've done now the strategic direction, and then you say, these are the issues facing us as a church, and these are the strategies that we are going to employ or to apply during. But you give in your implementation framework, you now give yourself, what are you going to implement in 2025? What activities are you going to embark on in 2026? Like that. And then there will be now a way of monitoring within the plan. Yes.
The problem is not the strategic plan. The problem is in implementation and in the monitoring.
Yes.
So I would question, maybe you say something on if you want to have the strategic plan already, you have sat down and prepared, what are you supposed to be having apart from now the strategic plan in order for your strategic plan to roll out effectively? What are you supposed to be having?
Two things. One, implementation framework, which we call implementation matrix, that helps you to know this is what I'm going to do for this quarter. That is very important. It will measure your success. It will measure your success, and it will now be helping you. Also within the plan, I'm saying you will have a monitoring and evaluation framework. How will you know that you've gotten there? How will you be taking corrective measures where you are deviating from your plan and the like?
But I have a question.
Yes.
Number one, this question has A, B, and C. Let me start with the C. How affordable is it to develop a strategic plan, probably from your office? Are you able to help those who may not have a huge budget, knowing that some churches are younger?
The answer is yes.
And sometimes do you do pro bono? That one you answer me as detective pro bono.
Yes, but you see there are resources also being used by Jane and all that.
But the other question was the balance between, I have seen just a few years that I've been alive, sometimes people pushed the issue of strategic planning, which is so important. Every church needs that, especially because of future. You want that institution to outlive you.
Yes, yes.
But then some really went too much, extreme, leaving behind their core. You know, someone yesterday, one of the facilitators kept reminding us you were sent to be fishers of men. So they went, they have houses, they have boats, yachts, and all that. But now, the main thing, they call it died. So there's that challenge. But then the B, maybe you can just comment, or it's a comment, but I don't know how you'll respond to that. For people who don't have that, maybe you need to help us, or help them, if you like, that it is always better to start from the known to the unknown. What I mean is, if the congregation is not wired to handle this, your leadership is not wired to handle this, and you just come after this meeting, you call a board meeting tomorrow morning, and introduce all these things, and they don't know this, some of these things, they have never heard about it. It can also have an adverse implication.
Thank you. I like your comment that you start with the known to the unknown. The question is, the known is that you are there for a purpose, for a mission, the great calling of the church. And every leader in that church should identify with Matthew 28, 19, 20. They should all be knowing that is why we exist as a church. And now, having known that, then the biggest question you ask them, because you don't have to do a very complex thing, is like, how then will you reach them? They are reached. How do you fish this man? And let them come with ideas. Either some will tell you, let's open churches. Yeah, let's now go to this corner and all that. Let's go online. Let's have so many suggestions. And then now you start prioritizing them. You start asking them. Now, we planned how many churches per year? Either 1 or 2 years, so that it is established. But is that still reaching you? How will you make sure that those people you are discipling are able to also carry out the Great Commission, the multiplier effect? Don't just go, don't be in the business of you plant a church here, before it takes off, another one is here. Then some start closing out, then the plan is not well articulated. So in summary, we are saying it is something that you make it as practical as possible. Don't feel overwhelmed because of the terminology of a strategic plan. It has to be big, we have to launch it. No, start small. Just have a focus. Where do I want to take this congregation? Where do I want to take this church in the next so many years? And then have a vision, have a mission, have some goals, come up with strategic plan. I'm seeing Reverend Daktari Sembi and Jane wananiangalia ile ya kwani watakunywa chai saa ngapi na tutasema. But the last one.
I just wanted to make a comment. I'm part of the committee in our church that is preparing a strategic plan. And probably, maybe the challenge we're having is we don't have a sample of a strategic plan. Because when I was told I'm supposed to be part of that committee, I was so scared. I was wondering, what is this strategic plan? When we got a sample, we had one for 2017 to 2022. So that is the sample we got, and it is the one that we are developing. So I think if you can have a sample of the strategic plan, as we are saying, don't think so big, because I also thought it is such a huge thing. So you just have those small implementation committees, and then you also have a monitoring committee to ensure that whatever is being said in the plan is being implemented. And still that monitoring committee comes from the main committee. So I think you're just like 13 of us, and I think it is not as difficult.
Thank you, thank you. And again, I want to tie this comment with your question. So Pro Bono comes in a situation like that. They have done quite a lot. There is a committee that is thinking. Then they invite me just to, not to say marking, give comments and give guidance. But now when you are starting afresh, yeah, it is a little bit, not so much expensive. I know some of these churches I enrolled. I've done for so many churches, but I'm saying that should not limit you to having just a professional comment if you feel overwhelmed. Because again, it's good to have a document that is like a template. You download what that other organization was saying and you failed to customize it to your name, because that is the beauty of having it. So may God bless you. Asanteni sana.
Thank you very much. Let's appreciate him again. Now you have a template in your mind, you can now begin to do your own strategic planning, and you can run your churches effectively as an organization, not just kienyeji as you have always done. So very grateful for this presenter. I don't know whether you are willing to share your number with them, so that just in case they get some harambe and raise some little money for your fuel, they may ask you to come and help. Mission, please.
So yes, I can give you my number. Niko na mbili, niko na WhatsApp na ya M-Pesa. So sijui unataka gani, lakini nitawapatia zote. 0729 ama 0733, but the same line, 867-111. In other words, 0729 867-111 and 0733-867-111. Hiyo mkiniita mtanipata. Email kama unataka kundrop one, it's J for Jonathan, J Kiliko, over at the end, J Kiliko @gmail.com. So we can interact.
Awesome. Thank you. Very well. You have all the resources, you have all the contacts here. It is upon you to use the resources that we have used in the course of the days that we have been here. Make use of these men and women whom God is giving to us to enhance our ministries in the way that the Lord wants you to do. Be effective in your ministry. Do something good in your community. Let people marvel at what you are doing, and then you say, I got it from Daystar. If I didn't go for that training, it wouldn't be like this, and we will be grateful when you do that, and the Lord will be happy with the kinds of ministries that you are doing.